All right, so we're going to talk about the box dip or the bench dip today. This is a thing that a lot of people will do in the gym for building strong shoulders and triceps and that sort of stuff. And there's a lot of different versions of the dip. We're going to talk about this particular one today. So normally in the gym, people are doing these on a bench, like from a bench press. They're doing it on the side here, and this is in a pinch that'll work, but what that does is for us being able to get in the right positions to do this movement well, we're going to run into that box on the way down. So we end up having to get ourselves really out here quite a ways, which is not an ideal position for doing this dip. So we like to do it between two boxes, or if you had two benches, to put a hand on either side and get set up here. So the reason that we want to be able to do that is because when we get set up here, we have our legs as straight as we can. The hips are going to be slightly in front of our hands, or they can be just back here underneath a little bit. But we just don't want them to be clear out here, trying to avoid scratching our back on the box. Okay? We're going to start by externally rotating our shoulder. So like we're turning our hands, like our pinkies out on both sides. So oftentimes when people are doing a dip, they start here and they got the douchey shoulders going forward, and we want to have them pulled back. So there's an external rotation in that shoulder. The other thing that we want to be aware of is that the muscles that we load first, we load primarily, are the muscles that we're going to load maximally, meaning they're going to do most of the work. So we want bigger muscles to do most of the heavy lifting for us. So the shoulder muscles and the pec muscles are bigger than our tricep muscles. So that means we need to move this shoulder joint first so that those muscles around the shoulder are doing the majority of the work. So the way that we do that is when we get set up here, externally rotate the shoulders so they're pulled back, and then I'm going to kind of shift my weight forward more from my hip and my wrists to get my shoulders out in front of my elbows. If I try to go straight down into a dip from this stacked position, my elbows are going to bend first, and that's going to load my triceps primarily. So if I shift my weight forward and then bend those elbows, I'm loading those shoulders first, lower myself down under control to the bottom. We want to see that upper arm somewhere close to parallel to the floor, maybe a little bit past, and then come back up. Okay? In doing that, I want to be thinking about that external rotation through that whole range of motion. So I'm thinking about turning my palms out to create that shoulder external rotation while I'm moving. If I don't do that, what ends up happening is that on the way up, my elbows are going to flare out to the side, and we end up with this shoulder impingement and just some bad positions that are not going to train the muscles the way that we want to train them. And just then the skill of doing the movement doesn't transfer to other things that are a similar press. Okay? So legs straight is going to be the hardest version of this. If you want a little bit of assistance, and that's going to be too much, bring your legs back a little bit, bend them. That one lightens the load that you have to lift, and you can actually use your legs for a little bit of assistance to push yourself back up. But everything else remains the same. Externally rotate those shoulders so they're back. Shift the weight forward slightly so those shoulders are in front of the elbows. Then down, externally rotating the shoulders the whole way down. And back up. Okay. And that is our bench dip or box dip.